You know what's a shame? Have you ever seen Hard Target 2?
Yeah, yeah. I
What
see
do
them
you
all.
honestly think about that? Hey guys, got another really fun video for you. Guest today, Bey Logan. He's producer, writer, actor, director, mostly with the Hong Kong martial arts film genre. You guys can follow him on Facebook or go to his website, Real East, REEL East.com, if you want to buy Kung Fu memorabilia and other cool stuff. But in today's discussion, we're going to talk about Scott Adkins. Basically, why did Scott Adkins make it as far as like being like a martial arts action movie star? Like there's certain ingredients that somebody needs. Obviously, you have to have talent, you have to have skill, etc. But there's something more, right? We're going to talk about that. And also in this video, we're going to discuss some of the movies in the martial arts genre that really aren't that good, unfortunately. Martial arts action genre like Hard Target 2, Welcome to Sudden Death, things like that. So Bey Logan kind of has, talks about from his perspective. I share mine, and then we discuss essentially why they're not that great. But anyway, make sure to help support the video. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. There's going to be a lot more Bey Logan, a lot more Sheldon Lettich, a lot more all kinds of cool videos and guests. Share the video. Get your black belt fragrances, by the way, cologne. You want to smell good? I'll get you at $35 plus shipping and handling. All the information is linked in the description below. And with that said, let's get on to this discussion. Oh, here's a quick question that came to mind, though, because you were talking about
Sure.
Gary Daniels.
Yes.
Now, so obviously he's got that English accent, same with Scott Adkins. But now when Scott Adkins does movies, he puts on a more an American accent, I think because he probably wants to be more mainstream. Do you
Hey,
know
let
if
me
there's...
tell you. I mean, Scott's my guy. I discovered Scott, and his accent, even in England, as a Birmingham guy, wouldn't really work, because he talks like he's from Solihull or somewhere like that, and I don't think it's going to work. So he was like, his accent doesn't work in England, let
It
alone
doesn't
working
work
in
anywhere
America.
then.
Nah.
Okay.
Why would you say such a thing?
So he's done a very good American accent, and he's done so well. And he's one of the nice. It's really interesting because people always ask me about attributes that kind of provide you with longevity in this business, and there are exceptions. But
Sure.
I think I've never known anybody. Well, I've never known anybody with a ferocious work ethic who completely failed. I really don't. I mean, a modicum of talent can help. And I was going to say, if you're a nice guy like Scott, it can help. But
Sure.
if you have that ferocious work ethic, and there's actually one woman, a Chinese woman working in the industry now as an actress, who I hate with the fury of the white hot lava of hell. But
Huh.
I will say, she can work. She works hard. She has a ferocious work ethic. If
Okay.
anybody said to me she was lazy, I would say, no, I hate her, but she is not lazy.
You gotta give
She
credit where
works.
credit's due.
Yeah, no. You've got to do that. You've got to, in a way, that's the best review you can ever have. There was a guy I used to train with and work with years ago in England called a guy called Dave Lee. He was a Batman stunt double, and he and I fell out. And anyway, so somebody was trying to talk to him. I heard this conversation, and they said, "Hey, yeah, and the thing about Bey, you can't even write that well." And Dave, who hated me at the time, went, no, actually, he's a pretty good writer. Let's be honest. It's when your worst enemy has to admit that you are, gifted
Yeah,
in
that's
some way.
funny.
That means something, and I do think the work ethic is the thing. But I was going to say work ethic and allied to an innate niceness would see you over, all number of ills. I'll give you an example of that. Local example, Daniel Wu. I mean, Daniel, when he came in the industry, couldn't really speak Chinese. I hadn't got any acting experience. I don't even think he was that great of an actor for his first run of films. But he had this innate likability. He still does. And I don't think you can buy that. You're born with it. But it's a
Yeah.
very good trait to have. And definitely Scott has that about him, that niceness. And that's actually who he is as a person, I'm happy to say. He's actually a nice guy.
Yeah, he seems like it, like on his YouTube channel, Art of Action, always very respectful. And I made that
Yeah.
comment before too. Like he just seems like such a nice guy,
No, he
How could you not
genuinely,
like a nice
genuinely
guy?
is. I mean, no, I
But
mean, totally. I mean, so do you want to work through? I can talk about Scott some more if you
oh,
like, or we can just
yeah,
work through the
real quick, the
questions.
question. So you said like he's your guy. So did you get him started? Because I know he was in a
Yes.
medallion with Jackie Chan.
Right. Well, what happened with Scott was that I had Combat Magazine at the time, and I lived in Birmingham, which is where the magazine was published. And Scott wrote to me, and I think wrote to me and said, you know, I'm this guy and I want to be in movies. And I remember I was living, I think, in Edgbaston near the cricket ground. And I came back and there was this skinny youth waiting outside my house. This was Scott. And we chatted. And, you know, my immediate thought about him was, you know, what a nice young man he was.
Sure.
And I looked at his, you know, physique and I said, you know, it's not enough. You've got to, you know, guys are looking for this Van Damme thing.
Sure.
So he goes away, and about, I don't know, 3 months later, I get these photos of him, and he's jacked, and I'm like, wow, okay.
You know how old he
And
was
then,
at the time?
geez, I want
Like,
to say late teens, early 20s,
okay,
very young.
okay.
And then he was like, it was like you would say, I would say to him, well, you know, but you know, you've got to learn martial arts, and then you'd get him doing all these kicks, and then videos of that. And then I'd say, well, you know, but kicks aren't enough. You got to do acrobatics, and then you get videos of him do gymnastics. And then I'm like, but this isn't good enough, Scott. You need to act. And then I got a video of him doing Henry V. It was at that point that I thought, this guy is going to make it. And he actually had done a few things. I introduced him for stuff in Hong Kong, like Extreme Challenge, Black Mask 2. I can't remember the time frame. In my memory, Medallion was first, but I don't think it was. But he did a couple of things, and he'd done some stuff on TV in England. And then Medallion, of course, I was writing and producing for Emperor. And we were looking for somebody to be a foil, like a, you know, in the old days, Jackie would, Benny Akitas, Richard Norton, right? You know,
Sure.
These were the guys he would be fighting, Bill Wallace. They were like, well, who is there like that today? And I said, well, there's this guy in England called Scott, and I think he'd be good. So we did the deal for Scott to come out and do the Medallion. I think
That's
that was
cool.
his first big studio film. You know, it was a $40 million movie. So that got him off to the races. And then, of course, then he was moved to America, and then he was working with Isaac Florentine. My only disappointment about Scott is I have the shame that no studio ever took a run at him as a lead in a franchise of some kind, as a superhero or as a spy or as the new Jason Bourne or something. I mean, they may yet. Look at Donnie Yen. I mean, really only found mega success with Yip Man really quite late in the day. So it could yet happen. But I'm disappointed that no one's ever taken a run at Scott with that, because I think he has that potential to be in bigger movies. But it
Yeah.
seems that he was just doing these, and he does them really, really well. And he's got a following, right? But
Yeah, he's got a big following
a
for
big
sure.
breakout movie.
You know what's a shame? Have you ever seen Hard Target 2?
Yeah.
What
I've
do
seen them
you
all.
honestly think about that?
I didn't think it was great. I mean, I thought it was just like, I mean, I first of all, as a filmmaker, and I never critique other people's films. So I'm sorry, I'm slipping into against one of my own rules, because I think
Okay.
what's happened with the internet is every filmmaker has a backup career as a critic of other people's movies. I don't personally think that's a great thing to be doing. Though I suppose in my books, I tend to talk about how great the films are, so it's less of an issue. But I watch everything and I enjoy everything, and I admire, because I understand what it takes to get a film made. I admire anybody getting a movie made. I always kid people, because it happens with me all the time. You know, you meet somebody and they're being a smart ass and they say, I saw the movie you made, I didn't like it. The important part of that sentence is, I saw the movie you made. The fact they didn't like it is neither here nor there. You got to make a movie. Sometimes the movies that suck are the ones you have the blast making. You have so much fun making. I mean, I don't think it was a great movie, but the happiest I'd been on set probably was The Dark Soul, which I directed. And I don't think it came out great, but I had so much fun doing it. If you said to me, can you do it again tomorrow? I'd be there. I'd do it. And conversely, I probably shouldn't say, but like a movie of mine that you might think was well received, was pretty good, was really a bitch to make. I think I wouldn't want to go through that again. So you never know, right?
Yeah,
but I looked at
that's
that
funny.
Hard Target 2, and I thought it was a typical shot in Thailand. You know, it was like they did, what did they do? Man with the Iron Fist 2, and what have you. But it's a formula, isn't it? I'll tell you the one that really defied expectation was never backed down. Was it 2 or 3? Was the first one that Michael directed? Michael Jai White
directed. Okay, because I know he was
third
into. He
one,
might not have
and he
directed
was
until
so.
3.
It was me and my sons used to watch like Saturday movie night. Saturday movie night would be a Scott Adkins movie or something like that, and we put that on, and it was surprising. It was so witty. It was so well made. It had so many interesting ideas in, but it was. You could see it was the same kind of budget as Hard Target too. But I thought Michael did a great job of that. So I like being surprised by stuff, when you.
Yeah, sure.
And
You
then
could
what's
be
interesting is
pleasantly
I'll look at it,
surprised.
and then I'll go to IMDb and see the comments, and I'm thinking, even on stuff that I think is kind of cool, oh, it's the worst thing ever. And I give you an example. I rarely get upset about critiques of movies that I've made, but there was one. Probably a movie that I'm the most proud of was a film called Borderland, which was released as Covert Operation, which was the first proper film for Matthew Veshler, who directed Attrition. And we shot that at the studio, the Fawlty Towers of China, this film studio in Nanhai. And it came out really good, stylish and really cool, but made for a tiny budget, really. And then the first review on IMDb, this could have been shot I could have shot this in the back of my mom's house. Well, you couldn't. That's not true. It's you're not making if you look at the film and you criticize it and you say, I didn't like this, I did like, but just that broad statement, this film is so bad, I could have shot something better with my mom's Handycam. Well, show me.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be saying, I'm more sensitive for Mathieu than for myself, because Mathieu and also Vincent, the DP, are so talented. To see them dismissed in that way really doesn't make me
that
happy.
is a shame. Obviously, there's time and effort, put into.
Go and see everybody. Track down Borderland and AKA Covert Operation. You won't be disappointed.
Okay, well, let me give my little commentary on Hard Target 2, and also Welcome to Sudden Death with Michael Jai White, because it's something similar going on. And
yeah,
I think it's a commentary on the martial arts genre as a whole, unfortunately. Because obviously, I was super excited because I love the first Hard Target. John Woo, Jean-Claude Van Damme, absolutely amazing film. So I'm going in like, okay, Scott Adkins is cool. Hard Target 2. Same thing with, Sudden Death is a little different because I didn't love the first one, but I do now after having watched Welcome to Sudden Death with Michael Jai White, because you almost forget like how great those were in the 90s. These were real studio productions, and they just like hit it out the park. So when you see like Hard Target 2, the expectations are so high, or even like Welcome to Sudden Death, and it's just like I almost feel sorry for Scott Adkins, to be perfectly honest.
You see this? It's not your fault.
Because, and I even made a video comparing Hard Target in Hard Target 2 and Welcome to Sudden Death, and it's almost just like these guys, in my opinion, deserve to be part of something better, like Van Damme was in the 90s. It's almost sad. So like in general, I try to put out more positive videos and commentary, but every once in a while I had to make a video on Welcome to Sudden Death because it was so bad. And it's just like, this is just the state of these kind of movies now, which is a damn shame. Because we're going to compare it to the ones from the 90s because they're using the same film franchise.
But do you feel it's just the lack of ability? I mean, it's still a director's medium, and like I say, with Mathieu and even with Michael Jai White when he directed Don't Back Down, whichever one it was the first of the ones that he did. That budget was not the fact that you were shooting in Thailand or China. The fact that you were shooting on a shoestring budget. It's neither here nor there. So you feel in this instance, the director of these kinds of films was not up to the mark. Is that how you felt?
I kind of do, because here's the thing. You talk about a movie like Bloodsport, that didn't have a budget. You talk about, and I talked to Sheldon Lettich last week, Lionheart didn't really have a budget. Double Impact, they had a little bit of a budget, but those movies are amazing, right? Like, I don't know, man. So
Bloodsport,
I don't know what you can blame. You can't blame the budget, though. Those movies had enough money where you can't blame the budget, because they could create something incredible with the tiny budget,
Well,
especially with the
I mean,
technology
I
they have
think
today.
I think one thing that happened was that you had with those movies people like Newt Arnold, who directed Bloodsport. He
Sure.
worked for Peckinpah. He'd worked on, some of the greatest American, action films ever made. So when he comes on, I think he was a DP before, and then he comes in to be the director of Bloodsport. He's like coming down and bringing with him the skill set and the experience from the Peckinpah films. I think what happens now is that you've got people bumping up from doing music videos and commercials, or like video short films or whatever. And I think the problem has been that those people don't necessarily have a great sense of structure and a sense of how to do long form narrative. So whereas before you had those movies you mentioned, there were people who, if you go back and check through the credits, I think you find a lot of people who got quite significant studio experience. Sheldon
Well,
Lettich
Sheldon
being
Lettich though,
a good example
that's
of
what's
that.
so incredible about
Right.
Lionheart and Double Impact. Like Lionheart, first time director. But you know what? You know what? And here's the thing, now that I think about it, what those all have in common, those films, at least Bloodsport, Lionheart, and Double Impact, Sheldon Lettich actually wrote them. So it's really the
Right.
script. So obviously, before it ever gets to the director, and if you see and read some of the dialogue in, Welcome to Sudden Death or Hard Target 2, it's like, yeah, I think a lot of the problem lies in the script, but also the direction. I don't know. I just think it's, part of this channel is like
Well,
making the
to
80s
me,
and
to
90s
me,
great again by talking
to me,
about the great
I,
films.
yeah, I think if you have a great script, and you have a kind of an indifferent director can make a great film out of a great script. And an example of that would be something like Tombstone with George Pankosmatos directing. But that was an amazing script and a great cast, and it worked really well.
I didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your huckleberry.
But if you've got a bad script, I don't think anybody can save you. And fixing it day by day, as I've had experience of trying to do on different films, is not going to work. So you're absolutely right. That said, I do believe it's a director's medium. And that's one thing I really valued and appreciated about Mathieu Bechler, who's a fantastic director. He's very sensitive. And I think that means that's why he hasn't done more films. And he's really only ever worked for me. But Mathieu would come in and every day he'd look at the page, and that page and that day of shooting was like a gift, and it was like a piece of fruit. He was just going to squeeze the juice out of it. And I did another movie in China with a foreign director, and I felt it was just going through the motions. He hadn't got that same mojo. And
Yeah,
even
going through the
myself, when I
motions. I think a lot of these
right,
they're hired guns or hey, this is a
right.
job, I'll get paid, but they're not like passionate about making something
That's
great.
it. You want somebody who comes in and just goes like Jim Cameron when he was doing the movies for Roger Corman. Well, all the guys that did the Corman films, they came in but when it's funny when you look at those movies now, you can kind of tell these guys were going to be something. It wasn't like, oh, it's a Roger Corman, and there were Corman movies that didn't go anywhere, but where the guys didn't go anywhere, but you could see from the film that this was not somebody that was going to make it. So I do think that there's like. Now the lunatics are taken over the asylum. It feels like anybody who wants to make a film can make a film, and I think now it's become there are people who can make films, but should they? Is the question.
Mhm.
And I watch everything, and sometimes I'm really happily surprised by something that for me works really well. It's interesting. I don't know how he does it, but like Liam Neeson had a run of scripts of stuff that he did. And again, the reviews were like, oh, this is the worst thing of all time. What's he thinking? But then I watch the movies and I go, no, I think they're cool. I think he had a run of, he got the best of the, whatever there's out there for the older guy who
Ever
used to
since
be a
Taken,
Marine.
man, he's been on a roll.
No, I think so. I mean,
He's
I've enjoyed the
awesome.
film. I watch everything action related that comes out.
Sure.
And, it's like, it's interesting, like, Nicolas Cage, you look at him and he does so much stuff and he does stuff that's just really junk.
I think I deserve a little appreciation.
And then you see him on his day and you go, he's still one of the greatest actors, best screen actors we have. He's like Simon Yam is in Hong Kong. I mean, Simon does really bad stuff, has done in the past. But on his day, he's just pound for pound one of the best actors in the world, in my opinion.
Mm.